Hi, Bowflex Barbie here, and welcome back to the Flex Pretty podcast. For today's episode, I have a very special guest with me. Ryen is here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for being here.
I had to count. That make sense?
I was like, thank you to all my fans.
No.
Welcome. It's me. I'm here. Yes, it made sense. Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm super excited to talk to you guys today.
You're talking to me.
I'm super excited to talk to you today.
They're just like,
I keep forgetting.
they're secondary.
Got you.
I'm just kidding. But,
You're right.
huh?
You're right.
I'm right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Lock it in.
Let's lock in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But thank you for being here.
I'm really happy to be
For
here.
those who don't know you, I know you pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I've known you for some time now.
Yeah, I think I started working out with you. Was that before I had Ellie? Yes. So
Was it?
that would have been probably 20. No,
Come on,
it
it's
was after
after.
Ellie.
It was
Yeah,
after.
I already had both my kids, so that would have been a 2022.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. But for those who don't know you, I
Mhm.
want you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Okay, so my name is Ryen Robinson Fox. I am a mother of two. I've got a couple of businesses. I am married to Justin Fox. I'm also, so let me start about the businesses. So Barnacle Bones is a men's clothing store that I inherited from my father after he passed. I worked really close with him in the maybe 5 years before he did but die. So everything pretty much fell seamlessly into my lap and my sister's. But throughout that time, probably since even my early 20s, I had a strong interest in the creative works, particularly hair and makeup. So that's what I also do. I've got a hair and makeup business that is doing relatively well, considering it's kind of on the back burner as a passion, but that's what I do.
Awesome.
That's how I make my money.
Awesome. And we connected through training.
Mm-hmm.
We worked out. I trained you for a few years, or months. I'm not sure. I feel like it was we had spurts.
I think it was maybe 3 good spurts over a year and a half. Yeah. Each of them were really, really good. I knew that with my background in CrossFit, that I wanted to transition into something that was less, what do you call it when you jump on your knees and stuff?
Impact?
Something that was less high impact.
When you jump on your
yeah, when you hurt your knee.
It's less knee involved.
It's the way the game of charades or taboo. Anyway, I wanted to do something that would focus on isolation and not be so high impact, and that was perfect for me. And I actually really fell in love with it. So I still do that style of training now. Gym machines, just stationary cardio, things like that. And I love it.
Awesome. I know you're also diabetic, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So talk to me about, you've always been?
No, during both pregnancies, I had gestational diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
My mother is also diabetic. She had gestational diabetes that became permanent as well. So to a degree, you could say it's genetic, but also being pregnant and the strain that takes on the organs, namely the pancreas, that locked me in. And then it was really difficult after pregnancy to get my weight under control too. So
that played a part in
that played a huge part in it, yeah.
Let's take a moment to just recognize the sacrifice that mothers make to bring babies into the world.
Yep. I always tell people people talk about postpartum like it's within a certain amount of time. No, you are forever postpartum. You are forever altered by the experience of rearing children.
Yeah. But yeah, that's great. I didn't realize that. I thought it was from childhood or something. Because I know you mentioned that you had it, but I always assumed that it was not brought on by your pregnancies. Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Okay. But you're managing it.
Yeah. My endocrinologist, Dr. Ryen Davis-Simmons, she's been excellent during my pregnancy and post-pregnancy. And my numbers, I actually recently had an appointment. My numbers look really, really good. And she said it's largely to do with my lifestyle. And that's lifting, cardio, and watching what I eat.
And being consistent.
100% trying to be consistent.
I love that. I know, so you talked about CrossFit being kind of what you transitioned out of before you got more into the gym, strength training. I guess essentially bodybuilding style lifting. talk to me about your relationship with fitness, just in general. Like, what was that like? Okay, I need to prioritize fitness. Was it before the babies, after the babies?
It was before. So let's take it all the way back to me being 13 years old.
Okay.
At 5'5" at the time and 172 pounds.
Okay.
In like between 8th and 9th grade, and my mom just being like,
something's gotta happen. What we're not gonna do is this.
Yeah, so she took me to Weight Watchers, and that was my first introduction to tracking and exercise and using both those tools consistently to manage my weight.
Okay.
I can't thank her enough for that introduction. So we didn't do any major exercise, and back then everything was surrounded more around like cardio. And being skinny. You know, the idea of having muscles wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
At least not in my 13-year-old brain. Like,
yeah.
I just want to be small. I just want to be skinny. You know? There's a Pink song. You know the Pink song?
Just be as thin as possible.
Right? So that was the goal at that time. And I lost like 40 pounds.
At 13?
At 13. Yeah. Between 13 and 15 years old.
Okay.
Right? I did gain some of that back, but I was still growing. Yeah. By the time I was about 18,
and, going into puberty and all.
Yeah, between like by 18 years old, I was like 150 something pounds. But my first introduction to exercise and wellness in a way that it was my responsibility was at 13 through Weight Watchers and cardio. I transitioned from that to adulthood between the ages of 19 and 22. My sister and I went to the gym out east. We used to kill those big O classes. I don't know if anyone knows who Big O was.
I've heard. I'm not from Nassau, so I don't
personally
know, but I've heard.
Yeah, he was incredible in terms of making you excited and energetic about
making it an experience.
Yeah, just making it an experience. And from then, like that attitude to cardio stays with me, just as we did the thing yesterday, step class yesterday.
In your zone.
I'm in the zone. I'm like trying to hype everybody up. Like, let's go. Like, let's push as hard as we can. We got 45 minutes. Like, make the best of it. Yeah. When he passed, that was awful, obviously, for his friends and loved ones. But it actually took a huge impact on my fitness
and your
experience
to it,
because I felt like so lost. Like, I don't have my big O class. Like, what do I do? So there was a couple of years I did nothing. Then I realized I was gaining weight. So I started walking and running again. And I did that off and on right into early marriage. And then I learned about muscles through seeing a close friend of mine do like a in-house CrossFit competition or something. And I'm like, oh, this looks incredible. Like just the idea of like these women throwing these weights around and looking so strong and their form, and that's when I fell in love with the idea of like just moving weights around.
Picking up heavy stuff,
picking up heavy things, putting it down. I enjoy the adrenaline rush. I definitely like the dopamine, all of that is so addictive. But in a good way, yeah, I think.
So you could be addicted to a lot worse things.
Worse things. Yeah. So that's how I first fell in love with CrossFit. Once I started that, I also like the idea of there always being, like there not being a finish line. Mm-hmm. Like it changed my whole perspective of, oh, I'm on a diet for X amount of days.
I have to get to this point.
I have to get to this point. Da, 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 da. No, it's actually a lifestyle. You could always do better at something, you know? Yeah. So that's how I got into CrossFit. And then once I had kids and I realized like the high impact experience wasn't ideal for me with joints and stuff, everything just being so different after having kids, but I still wanted to be fit. So then I transitioned over into a more bodybuilding style. And I'm 100% in love with that. You couldn't pay me to do a burpee. You couldn't pay me to do a box jump. Not hating on my beautiful CrossFit.
I feel like there's elements for me. Like CrossFit is not my personal. Mm-hmm. It's never, like I've dabbled in a little bit like, okay, I'll do a class here. I'll try a workout here and there. But yeah, I never was down with too much of the burpees and gymnastics.
Ooh, the gymnastics, CrossFit.
But like, I love me a good little wall ball every now and then. You know, certain things. The assault bike I could do twice a year. You know?
I actually love the assault bike.
You crazy?
Anything, I mean, it's cardio, but I get to sit down. Like, what's better than that?
not feeling like my heart about to pound out of my chest after 2 seconds. That's what's better than that.
You can take it at your own pace, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Assault bike is not, and then you don't get on the assault bike to not have your heart rate elevated.
Yeah,
like, that's the whole point.
It's true. I don't have.
It's named assault. Like
it's a big fight. It's like you got to get in and go to war, or you'll get nothing done.
It is aggressive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not my.
It's the strangest things that stand out to me about certain movements that I just really dislike. I don't like burpees, not because I don't like the elevated heart rate. I don't like my head shaking. I don't like jumping. I don't like being close to the ground.
It's me. I don't like laying on the ground either.
Yeah, I don't like being on the ground.
If I'm here, can I stay here?
Can I just stay here? Just take a little nap. No. And then running, I feel displaced. Like if I want to stop for some reason, Goodman's Bay or somewhere else, I'm like, no, there's no way out. I have to go all the way back. Like I
what
can't
if I have to use the bathroom and run?
I wouldn't even tell you all my horror stories.
Please, no.
I won't. But yeah, so stationary cardio is my jam.
Same. Yeah, comfortable and CrossFit like usually is hot too, right?
Jesus Christ.
For me, that's like, like why I gotta be pouring before I even start?
Sweat. It's a beautiful sport.
But there are elements that I like, and I think, like you said, what I notice about a lot of people that are attracted to it, they love the community as well. Like it almost becomes a religion in a sense. Like I don't want to call it that.
They've been called the C word.
Yeah, I've called it that. But in a good way. Like I feel like that's how strong I think when you have the commonality, right? If you're all working towards something, you're all having these endorphins, you're all chasing something. It's easy to, not even say easy. It's easier and it's natural, to
fall into that, and
you feel like a part of something where everyone like kind of gets you. You're all a little crazy, right?
As bodybuilders, they're crazy.
I was gonna say, I know I can say that because I've been called crazy and I identify as crazy. But I think that's the beauty. Like you have to be in it to get it.
Yep.
I think it's definitely one of those things. If you're not in it from the outside looking in, it's like, why are you doing all of that?
Why would you do that? Because
why are you voluntarily?
But look how good I look. Could you do this in 15 seconds? No. It's a
like
challenge.
If you ain't in it, you don't get it, and I get it. I get that aspect. I'm not in it, so I can't appreciate it. Just as someone who says, okay, well, I don't get bodybuilding. Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you eating the same thing for 16 weeks? Yeah, if you're not in it, you don't get it.
I totally understand.
So yeah,
I have mad
respect. I ain't judging you for being a part of CrossFit, and you ain't judging me for being a bodybuilder. I
have mad respect for bodybuilders. I have mad respect for CrossFit people. All of it.
Everybody, any fitness discipline that requires that level of commitment or just consistency to stay at some level of like thriving in it, I feel like it's
discipline,
commendable.
Discipline, and it's beautiful. There's beauty in discipline.
But now you're over on the
bodybuilding
side. Strength training. I guess I don't know if we call it strength. Yeah, we call it strength training, conditioning. And you feel like this is your home.
Yeah, I think this is where I'm gonna die. This is where I stay. This is where I'm gonna stay.
Like, this is my final place.
Yep. Let me just get comfortable, bring all my things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the best because I love the results. I mean, people would be lying if they say they don't work out because they want to look really good.
I think
that's usually the first motivator. And you just happen to also stay really healthy and increase your quality of life. Yeah. So, and then you become addicted to the endorphins and all those other good feelings, and it's a win-win. We chose our hard.
We did.
We did. Yeah. We chose our hard, and we love it here.
We did. I want to talk about how being a mom has influenced, if it has in any way, because I know you said the introduction to just like fitness being your responsibility or your health and your fitness being your responsibility came at 13. Fast forward years later, you're now in your mom kind of had to pull you into the light. You're now a mom, but you were on your fitness journey prior to the kids, CrossFit. You had the kids, you started transitioning out of CrossFit or looking for, another outlet. But how has being a mom, I guess, influenced outside of, okay, now my body's different. How has it influenced how you look at and approach your fitness journey?
I'm going to start from the beginning. When I first had August and I was able to go back to working out after X amount of weeks, I got in the car and I was by myself for the first time. I'm going to go do something for myself and nobody else. And I wrote down crying, the happiest tears initially. I get to the box and doing my warm up, and I think at some point we had to hang from the rig or maybe do like lunges or just something for the warm up. And I was so uncomfortable. I literally felt like I couldn't do it. Like just to hang from the rig with my body weight, my triceps were trembling. It was extremely humbling, and I could almost say I felt really sad initially. But then when I took a step back, it gave me perspective on what a privilege it is that you talk about often. A privilege it is to move, a privilege to get up and walk or hang from a rig or do anything I want to do because I have an able body. So even though it was really hard to have my full range of movement or all my strength and like my core and everything, like just feeling like it wasn't even mine anymore, even though that hurt or felt like a step back, it gave me perspective on those that don't have it or those that are only just like starting their fitness journey, to be kind to them, gentle, and to respect my own process even, you know?
Yeah,
so
I think you could also, I mean, now maybe in hindsight, look at that as, or people that may be going through that now can see, that can relate to that feeling of, okay, I was in this space of being fit and now I've had...
And I'm back as like in the negative.
Yeah, but it's an opportunity to rebuild, right? And to rebuild even better. Or like you said, appreciate, like, I did a miraculous thing, this huge thing. It wasn't just like, I
didn't just roll over and I don't know.
I didn't just stop working out for a little while and then came back.
No,
it's
I came back with a whole different body, a whole different set of weaknesses.
You brought life into the world.
It's a big deal. It's a huge deal.
Yeah, and that's going to require you to rebuild in a different way. But
I have another aspect that I like to share. Having kids also, your priorities completely change. You can't just say, well, I'm going to dedicate my entire Sunday to meal prep, or I'm going to wake up at X time in the morning to commit to my lovely breakfast or whatever it is. Now, everything you do is on the back burner. You have to prioritize your kids and their needs, or just the simple fact that you are exhausted from not being able to control how many hours of sleep you get, or the different anxieties that naturally come with thinking about the things your children are going to need on a daily basis. That could be anything. But come into a place where you have to shapeshift so many times in short periods of time. Like, people might have, if you don't have kids, you could take months and years to go into a sweet spot and like stay there. But once you've had kids, they change so much, and therefore your routine also changes so much. When you have a newborn, that's one stage, and you're thinking, okay, I can manage my meals like this. Before you know it, they're not a newborn. They're still an infant, but they're sleeping less, and they're doing this. So now you gotta bob and weave with that. It was and still is extremely challenging. I'm kind of getting to a sweeter spot now where they're a little more independent and they can eat more of what I eat. August will sit down and eat a full salad. And I'm actually really proud of that, because most kids are like, oh, we hate vegetables. You have adults that hate vegetables.
You do.
And I'm very concerned about them, but like worried. But I feel good to know that seeing the way that I take care of myself. He's a 6-year-old that eats vegetables, and
that's normal to him.
That's normal to him. We always have vegetables on the plate. So that's not what I was initially talking about.
You were talking about just this perspective of how things change so
having
quickly.
Kids changed my perspective. It also helped me not take for granted when I do have free time to make the most of it, because I know that it's limited and the rest belongs to them or work or whatever it is. So that time is so precious to me. And I think it made me more precious to me too, like my inner person.
I love that. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I get it. No, I get it.
Like, as much as we love our kids and our families and everything, when you realize what a toll being there for them can take on the mind, like, you have this one little leaf that you protect yourself with, and everything under this leaf, like, nobody can touch this. Yeah. My health, my mental, my peace of mind. I have my little stuff in my corner, and y'all can have the rest. This is mine.
This is for me.
This is mine, and it makes me show up for them in a better way too. So many lessons that I would not have learned if I didn't become a mom.
So Ryen, I know that you're a foodie. I want to talk about, I guess, on the topic of nutrition, food, how is nutrition tied into your fitness journey? And are there supplements that you're taking from the fitness side, from managing your diabetes? Like, are there things that you have to incorporate into whatever nutrition looks like for you to help you stay on track with your fitness, stay on track with managing your diabetes?
As you ask me these questions, I realize how many aspects of my life are so layered, right? So you started by, I know that you're a foodie. I know a lot of people that just like to eat, no offense, will refer to themselves as foodies. But like in Wendy's and other nothing against Wendy's because I eat Wendy's sometimes, but just like just enjoying
fast food,
stuffing your face.
Yeah. Or eating in general.
I'm sorry, it's not the same thing as what foodies were like initially coined as. A foodie, to what I understand, is a person that not just enjoys food, but enjoys and respects the art and the culture of food. Food is an experience. And to this day, no one can take that from me. I can't eat ugly food. I don't enjoy food that doesn't look and taste beautiful.
So with that, I'm assuming you create a lot of your
do.
Meals. Okay.
I cook most of the time. When I do eat out, I almost can't even eat out with everyone because if you don't also like
enjoy that
experience in that way, or if I start to critique or appear disappointed, it's because I don't have a culinary degree. Why am I paying for food that is like subpar? I have a big problem with that. So I say all that to say that food, for me as a person on a journey to manage my physique and my wellness, is a huge deal, right? I do not sacrifice flavor and experience in the name of my diet. I'll take the time. For me, it comes easy to make my food art and to make it beautiful and to make it taste good, just because I have a certain set of skills, right? And to somebody else, that looks like way too much effort and this and that, but I can't have it any other way. I can't have it any other way. And it happens really quickly for me. I feel like it probably takes me almost the same amount of time to make my meal as it'll take yours, but it's just like, it's built in.
That's your passion.
Yeah, I enjoy it and I have it no other way. In terms of supplements and planning, so as much as I may try to avoid it, it comes down to the foundation of if I'm going to see the results that I want, you got to track.
Yeah.
That's right back to my Weight Watchers roots, right back to the roots of bodybuilding or anybody else that you want to see progress in your diet via nutrition. You have to know what you're consuming. It could be painstaking, but it's the most useful tool that you can implement to actually see results and not just be winging it and wasting your time. Or I'm going to stop eating bread, or I'm going to stop eating this, eating that. But now you might be overeating on fats.
Or undereating.
Like you might have been able to have more food and get better results and feel better if you take the time.
Have more energy, have better workouts.
Yeah. So I'm not saying I track every single thing, but I'll say that every 2 to 3 weeks, I'll sit down and assess what I want to eat and what it's going to cost my calorie budget. And that's a way that I can manage it. Like I could always, and I'll put like everything in fitness, some sort of a fitness tracker. And I know which meals are going to line up for a certain day. And I know what I have to kind of work with. Even if I don't stick to it to a T, I have an idea that I'm within range.
You're intentional, yeah.
Yes, there's some intention behind what I'm consuming. I know that I can't have this much mayonnaise. I know I can't have that much cheese. Yeah. Or I know I can't have X amount of oil. If I am going to meal prep to kind of take some of the guesswork out, I know I have a little flexibility with my coffee or my night snack, you know? Yeah. But some tracking has to be involved.
Yeah, and it's tracking, planning, being intentional.
Yeah, and then using things like supplements to take the edge off. Can I start talking about these? This one here at the top, the berberine, is known as, I saw somebody else talk about it, calling it nature's Ozempic, but it's really nature's metformin.
Right? Shout out to Doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nature's metformin. And that made so much sense to me.
She's a doctor, yeah.
Right. So. And I guess there are things, I'm not a doctor or a scientist, right? But my doctor explained.
Right, it's like, I'm none of those.
I am none of those things. But from what I understand from my doctor and my own personal research, what berberine does for your hormones, either the way that your body responds to glucose in the bloodstream and allowing the hormones in your bloodstream to do what they're supposed to do, it operates a lot more like metformin, which is why this medication is also good for PCOS people. So I do take metformin, the real kind, but when your body is, as a diabetic, when your body is using glucose the way it should, it does curb appetite. You see? So before I was properly diagnosed, I was so fluffy. I was like 200 and almost 260. I was like 250 something pounds, right? Stressed, eating like crazy, diabetic, didn't know I was diabetic. I'm like, but I'm hungry all the time. How is everybody else not hungry? Right? And one day I got really, really sick. And just on a whim, I was just like, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I checked my glucose levels. It was 500 and something. When like 150 or even 200 is considered high. 500.
150 and 200 is considered high.
Yes.
What's normal?
Normal depend, like if you have just eaten a meal, it's still going to be like, depending on how long after the meal, yeah, like between 100 and 150 within 2 hours. I was 500 and I hadn't even eaten for the day.
Okay, yeah.
It was sky high. I was like, oh, heck, I need to get to the doctor. Go to the doctor, A1C sky high, get her a medication. But all I had to say, maybe you're not diabetic, but maybe you feel hungry all the time. It's very possible that your body could be using the glucose in your bloodstream better. So berberine
is that girl.
Is that girl. I happen to use the one that has, what you call this, liposomal.
Friends, like sound it out.
Liposomal in it, which is like a probiotic something. So that keeps your digestive system regular. And we could always use a little bit of help with that. Up next is creatine and glutamine. Those I use so that I'm not wasting my time in the gym. To make sure that the protein and the gains are at an optimum. I take those because I don't want to cut myself short on all the work that I put in. It's that simple. It makes your body feel better in terms of like feeding your joints and tendons and your muscles. And ultimately, you also get to look a lot better too because you stay a little swole, so to speak.
Keeps the muscle bellies full too.
Yeah.
So you have like the muscles look fuller, which is why sometimes people think, oh, I'm putting on weight. When really it's because the muscles are full, and including with water. At some point, your weight can spike from water weight, but usually it does balance out after a little while. But yeah, it does keep it nice and juicy.
Yeah, and actually that was another lesson I learned recently, in not being so attached to what the scale has to say. Because water weight and the fluctuations that we see as women and as people in general, from how much carbs you eat, what kind of workout you did, blah, 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 it doesn't matter. This is what the scale has to say. Does you know if you ate too much. You also know
you'll feel it
if you are on point, you're doing your workouts and you're getting your workouts in, and you're eating well. If the scale bounced up, you know it's not your fault, and it'll probably come back down. It's just water weight.
What part of your cycle you're in? It's so many different factors.
So many things. So just put in the work and forget the scale almost. Like
it's a tool, but it's not the only tool. I always tell people like it is something you can track, which I think is important. Like we talked about, tracking is important, but if you weigh yourself every day for 7 days, you're very unlikely going to be the same weight every single day of those 7 days, every single day for a month. But you look at what direction it's trending, if it's going up every single day for a month, something is going on that you're probably doing or not doing. But I tell people track it, but track other things as well. Take your photos, take your measurements.
Once I leaned in fully to the crazy and I weighed myself every day, several times a day, out of curiosity. It was like a test or like a trial to see how my body is responding to things. I didn't do it to like be upset about, oh my gosh, I'm putting on or I'm taking off. I wanted to see This is what I weigh in the morning. This is what I weigh after I've had breakfast. This is what I weigh if I drank this weekend.
Research purposes.
It was research purposes. And it proved to me that while, say, every 7 to 10 days, I would have a lower average because I was still putting in the work. When I see it bounce up 6 or even 8 or even 10 pounds.
It's time to get it together.
But I'm talking about like overnight because cycle, you had a drink, you had a big old slice of bread, and a heavy lifting day.
And you was in the kitchen cooking, making
like
cookies.
Cheesecake or cookies and all kinds of stuff. So you're
beautiful.
Like, because
beautiful creation.
Beautiful, but so delicious. Anyway, whole point is don't attach too much to the scale. That's all I was trying to get at. Take your creatine, take your glutamine, and start freaking out. Pre-workout. I only just started taking pre-workout maybe 2 or 3 months ago.
I don't know how you've survived all this time without it.
Me either.
That's like one of my non-negotiables from day one.
I only just started this one, but the first one I tried was the Bloom one I started telling you about, and I really enjoyed it. But I think that I actually like this one even more. I feel like it gets into my bloodstream a lot quicker, and it doesn't hang out too long, if you know what I mean. Like, I get the peak that I need for about...
when you need it.
Right.
Yeah.
15 minutes. Once the little first wave of itchiness passes.
The beta-alanine, yeah.
Some people that freaks them out, whatever.
I love it.
We have for a reason. It's coming.
It's go time. It's go time. When you get that forehead, for me, it's my forehead and like my fingers sometimes. I'm like, okay,
it's
across
time. My face, like almost like a mask right here. And then ironically, like my cap, like my shin, like gets really itchy. And
that's interesting.
And the back of my arms. Yeah, once that passes, we hit the roof. We stay up there for 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
And you come down.
And then I come down, but not in a way that feels like a big crash or anything scary. She's wonderful.
What I like about Babe too, and I have Babe too, what I like about Babe is it's a woman's pre-workout, so it has some like biotin, hyaluronic acid, like stuff for women in there. Hyaluronic acid, biotin, vitamin B12, and vitamin C. Nice. So it has like a beauty, which is the play on the Babe, and the brand. And I really like the energy from it too. Like I was like, oh, I could get great energy and improve my hair, skin, and nails.
Here for it.
I'm someone that if I can get as much as possible in a supplement, I try not to take too much because then I'm like, okay, I'm overloading.
Like overkill,
And then it's also like I can't assess what is working at its best if I'm taking multiple things. If I have a reaction to something even. Like
you don't know which one it is if you're taking a bajillion things.
If I'm taking, so I try to minimize my stack to get to the point of exactly what I'm working on or focusing on as much as possible. So I liked Babe for that too. I was like, okay, well, this cuts out some of those. Like if I'm taking B12 on its own, I don't necessarily have to take it. If I'm taking...
My logic was if ever I forget to take my overall supplement, like my regular vitamins, there's some stuff in there, and I take that maybe probably 3 to 4 times a week.
That fills in those gaps.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You got a pretty solid stack.
Yay.
I've not personally tried berberine yet, but I've been hearing a lot of great things about it. So I'm thinking I may be adding. And no, they have them in gummies too. And I feel like me and gummies have a love-hate. I do because I like candy. I sweet mouth. So I be overeating.
I hate candy. I actually always hated candy from a child. So like eating a gummy is punishment. I'd rather swallow the pill and be done.
The opposite. Like I got in trouble for eating too much candy. So
yeah, no, I hate candy.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty solid stack. Yeah, I like a lot of those. Like I said, only the berberine I haven't tried yet, but I do think I'm gonna add that in at some point.
I would say this too, though. When it comes to the creatine, even though I've done both powder and pills, my preference is the pills.
Really?
Yeah, because it's over. Like I don't have to drink. I don't have to like measure. Or
I actually mix mine in my pre-workout.
But see, I don't take the pre-workout all the time, but the creatine I have to take every day. You have to be consistent with creatine and glutamine. So when I go to take my berberine and my metformin and everything
taking that by itself?
I take the creatine as a pill and the glutamine as a pill.
Okay, and so you prefer pill form. Okay, yeah, I feel like, and that's the beauty of supplements too. Like you
have options.
Find a form that works for you. You ain't a candy person.
Don't like candy.
Gummies may not be for you.
Yeah,
and you prefer pills. Yeah, most things I prefer pills, but I do take my creatine and pre-workout together.
Nice.
So I tend to just make a cocktail and call it a day.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ryen.
It's been a pleasure.
It was great learning a little bit more about you and diving into your fitness journey.
Thanks for having me.
Before we close out, I want you to look into your camera and tell us where we can connect with you, where we can follow you.
Okay, so I'm actually only on Instagram as RyenLee_eats. There you will see me working out, spending time with my family, cooking, and enjoying life in the Bahamas, or as affectionately known as the Bajamas.
Who said that?
Me, because I'm insane.
I was like, one of your kids?
No, the Bajamas.
Okay.
It's supposed to be spelled with a J, you know.
Anyway, Ryen, that's another podcast for another day. It's supposed to be spelled with a J.
Spanish. The Baja Island.
Bye.
It's true. It's hilarious to me.
Thank you, Ryen. Thank you for that fun fact. And thank you for today's conversation. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Flex Pretty podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'll also link Ryen's Instagram in the description below if you want to follow her, stay connected with her. And until next time, bye.
Bye.